time is 10:41. We are now on Prosser Creek Reservoir. This is, according to law enforcement, Kylie's last known location.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Apparently, Adventures with Purpose appeared on Dr. Phil on October 3rd. I happened to notice a brief clip where an AWP diver makes a series of factual statements, and I'll put a link to that clip from Dr. Phil in the description. But he basically says, the time is 10:41. We are now on Prosser Creek Reservoir. This is according to law enforcement, Kylie's last known location. But where Doug is right in front of the boat ramp. Before we get to the rest of this episode, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started.
They said her cell phone stopped pinging right here at 12:33 a.m. on August 6th.
Now, when you look closely at the footage, when he says her cell phone stopped pinging right here at 12:33 a.m., look where he is. He's in front of the boat ramp. He's not where Kylie was actually found. Is that a mistake? Is that a mistake from AWP? Is that a mistake from law enforcement? Or is that actually where the last ping was? What do you think? Leave your answer in the comments.
So it's just a big shadow there. You see that?
Possibly. Could be a boat. There it is. See that? What is that? It's like a...
So if you're not paying attention, it feels like they find the vehicle right there where the ping is. It feels like they find the vehicle and Kylie's remains right there where they go into the water. But they don't. They actually find it somewhere else if you know the map. Now, going back to some of the things we've said before, it's not a surprise that AWP are launching from the boat ramp, given their vehicle and equipment, given that they've got a RV, a big trailer like that, and the sort of level terrain, right? It's also the same place LE started their search. They started it from the same spot. What is a surprise is that AWP say that this was where Kylie's phone pinged at 12:33, and that this was her last known location. We know where she was eventually found. And so one has to ask, was that her last known location? Was the last known location at the boat ramp? Have we gotten it wrong? Or was the last known location somewhere else? Was the last known location where her car was found? Because we don't have clarity on that. Was this a case that the phone pinged, but someone couldn't identify or translate where that ping was on a map? So we know there was a ping. Someone tried to put the ping into a map context and mistranslated it and put it where the boat ramp is. The other thing that's interesting is in the video clip, AWP also provide a map while they're talking about Kylie's last known location. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, watch the clip from Dr. Phil in the link. But basically notice when they're talking about last known location, AWP provide a map and they provide a kind of, looks like a ping point, but it's really a location point to say this is where Kylie was. And of course, the party wasn't at the campground. It was further up in that image and I guess slightly to the right. In other words, that beacon in the video, that is certainly a mistake. Unless law enforcement gave them that information and they correctly passed on the wrong information. So in line with what I've been saying about maps for the past 3, 4, 5 episodes, I'm not sure if the mapping going on regarding the search for Kylie has been entirely accurate. While Doug says, according to law enforcement, this is Kylie's last known location, that seems to suggest law enforcement passed on faulty or not accurate information. And I'm sure that that's the case, but then it seems like AWP, even as late as now, it's almost, 2 months later. We are now at October 4th. the location of that ping and the location of the party needs to be updated in their video. Don't you guys agree? It needs to show that the sanctuary is the party site. We know that now, so can that not be corrected? Should that not be corrected? To repeat, the location marker in the AWP video that's just been referenced on Dr. Phil today, or October 3rd, it looks like a ping, the way it's sort of pinging, the way that location mark is kind of making like a red ripple. It's in the wrong place. It's at the campground, not the sanctuary. We've covered this territory before, but one wonders whether the information law enforcement gave to AWP was wrong or if it was right. If it was right, then the final ping was near the boat ramp. If it was right, then Kylie was closer to the campground than to the sanctuary at 12:33. And one wonders whether we can get confirmation from law enforcement, either that information is correct as I've read it, or whether that was an error that was actually made, and an error that compounded itself. Because one wrong note eventually ruins the entire symphony. In this case, wasn't that the wrong note? Finding a ping, but putting it in the wrong place. And to me, there's something very ironic about the name of the sheriff's department, and also, to some extent, the name of the reservoir. You know, I've been saying it's placer, and you kind of think about that word, you know, find the right place. I don't know, it is placer, but find the right place. So I've been mispronouncing it, but the other thing is, can you maybe be mistranslating the actual location? You also have placer and prosser, right? And so one wonders, just as it's very easy to make a mispronunciation error, isn't it easy to mistranslate the location on a map in an area that you're not extremely familiar with, especially where it's referring to something that's not on all the maps? The sanctuary isn't everywhere. So if we consider that the ping was actually where the vehicle was found, then can you see how this could be the original error that ruined the entire symphony? And I think it's important to be honest about that. I think it's important to say, this is the mistake we made. And look at how the whole thing going into just finding Kylie sort of boiled over into this huge fiasco in a way. This big crime conundrum that turns out possibly not to even be a crime. A final thing that I think is interesting in AWP's video is one moment they are saying this is the last location, but then it cuts to where Kylie's vehicle was actually found, and it's not explicitly shown. There's also not a lot of mapping besides the brief map showing exactly where they are. And I think that is one of the problems regarding this case, is be explicit about the facts and be sure at the same time. Otherwise, you may end up creating an island out of California, an island of conspiracy, an island of conjecture, an island that is basically fictitious. And we don't want to do that. We want to be anchored to reality. We want California attached to the mainland, to the continental United States, because that is the way it is. Does that make sense? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.